Hi everyone, thanks so much for being with us here today. I'm Tracy, one of the founders of Tradelite Solutions.
And I'm Matthias. Hi.
So it's so exciting to be here today, isn't it, Matthias? To finally lift the curtains on what we've been working on for the last year and a half. All right, but before we start, can I please first ask all of you here with us to do us a little favor? Now, could you please mentally try to remove the serious grown-up corporate business hat that you wear day in and day out? Just for the next 60 minutes, okay? Is the hat removed? All right, so now think back together with us on the last time you played a game. Maybe it's a board game, Monopoly perhaps, or it's a card game, solitaire, memory, or poker. How about video games, anyone? Do we have any fans of Clash of Clans here? What about Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, or perhaps Animal Crossing New Horizon? Oh wait, let me guess. Candy Crush, anyone? All right, so do you remember how you felt when you played those games? How much fun you had, how motivated and engaged you felt while playing? Do you also remember learning about the rules of the game and how you trained yourself to have the skills needed to play that game well? Maybe not so much the learning and training aspect, right? Because actually, games are designed in a way that the learning and the training is the gameplay itself. It is the game. And now also think back for me, those in-game currencies and digital goods that are in the games you play. For example, any kind of in-game money, gold, elixir, energy, cards, jellies if you play Candy Crush. How about those? All those things you make, earn, save, spend, invest, and even trade in those games. You see where I'm going with this? That's right. Games are a great environment for really enjoyable learning experiences, but also games are economies. This is where real interactions, real transactions, and real opportunities take place. And that's exactly why we're here today, to talk about Tradelite and how we can support you to bring real-world financial products, services, and customer engagement into the limitless virtual world that are video games. But like all good business storytelling goes, before we get into it, we're of course going to start with why. So Matthias, why don't you jump in and share with us, why did we create Tradelite and how did we come up with financial entertainment?
Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks, Tracy, for giving me that opportunity, actually. So I think, honestly, the why reaches even back like 28 years. Some of you might know that we created two banks in this time, actually. The first one was Direktanlagebank or DAB Bank, which was the first European discount broker at the end of the day, and FIDAR Bank, actually, which turned out to be a kind of spearheading bank within the fintech environment. Actually, it was our ambition those days to democratize finance and financial markets. You know, we wanted to create an easy access to the markets and to finance. We wanted to achieve actually a broader understanding of what we call shareholder culture, you know, so that people understand what it makes sense to buy into the equity of a company and so on and so forth. And also, by doing so, we actually wanted to support literacy, financial literacy for people, you know, that they have a better understanding what it means to deal with finance. To be honest, we failed. With that mission and ambition, I would really seriously say we failed. Not because we would not have had any customers. I think we had plenty, really, lots of customers, absolutely. But we failed in our ambition to democratize the markets because we had to accept that our customers actually only wanted to play those markets. Now, having that experience in your mind, actually, you come back to two questions. So first of all, you come back to some questions at all, saying, okay, why would I need a bank for that? Okay, so how can I create actually services that are designed to meet that fun and excitement expectation of the customers on the one side, and also on the other side, that are as exciting actually as a maybe casino, yeah, as exciting and maybe also as scaling as a casino on the one side, but not as harmful as a casino for those customers. Actually, once you have those questions in the back of your mind then, and you look to the high usage of video games, sports betting, and even as mentioned, casino, actually you see this development and this market sector actually in a totally different perspective. Now, looking into video games and understanding what it means to have that kind of flow that we will speak about it, I think. The flow, the so-called game-based learning, which is in particular important, we then can understand and use that global reach actually video games have, that global reach, the fun and excitement and the power of financial education actually to deliver and distribute maybe financial services in a totally different way. Mm-hmm. I would say that was the kind of mental conceptual development we had for coming up to that idea. Now, what is driving the fun and thrill? Actually, in finance, it's data. It's purely data. Finance is a data business. It is the market data, maybe that is a stock price, the volatility, the KPIs that are resulting out of that, plenty data. On the one side. On the other side, you have that economic data, let it be inflation rate, let it be interest rate, let it be compound annual interest rates, whatsoever. Again, plenty of data there. Now we come to the next step. Why don't we take that data actually and turn it into game mechanics, so that we translate that data into game mechanics so that they support card games, as Tracy mentioned, or it might be whatever, car racing games, or it might be whatever kind of a game format or whatever kind of a game genre.
We'll talk more about that in a while.
Absolutely, that it could be. Now the rest is easy. We take that data, we turn it into game mechanics, and then we can put it actually into game formats that are accepted by customers, that customers or players want, that create the fun and thrill customers are expecting. Out of that development, we came to what we now today call financial entertainment games, so in short, FE games. And out of that idea of FE games, we actually came to Tradelite. And that was the kind of sequence actually that created the company we are lifting the curtain to today. But before we do this, Tracy, I think we should also introduce us maybe a little bit deeper, and who's the team actually behind Tradelite and who created that and executed that vision.
Yeah, absolutely. So who you see here today, Matthias and I, are only the 2 out of the 3 Tradelite musketeers. Tradelite was founded by Matthias Kröner, myself, Tracy Chang, and our third partner, Uwe Franke. All 3 of us are, let's say, veterans of the fintech world. That's how I would call ourselves. Because amongst us 3 together, added up, we have co-founded 2 digital banks and also 2 fintech companies, right? So as veterans, however, we all share this feeling of, I call, unfinished business when we think about digital customer engagement in the financial world, right? We notice that there is a growing gap between consumers and financial service providers. Financial service providers continue to come up with very sophisticated and complex products and offering and push them out into the market. To be honest, most people just find them really complex and confusing. So this is also why we see more and more people turning to alternative channels, really extreme alternative channels, if I must say, like YouTube, Reddit, even TikTok, and guess what? Also video games, to look for financial information, advice, knowledge, and not only that, also to consume products. And why are they doing that? Because it's easy to understand. It's easy to access and understand for the people. However, as financial service providers ourselves, we know that when people turn to those mediums and channels, and also what Matthias mentioned earlier, right? For people, the alternative to a bank is sometimes a casino, right? The alternative to a brokerage service is sometimes bet your money on something and try to win quick because it's easier to understand. But those things are not real and sustainable financial service sometimes, right? The risk it carries is very, very high for the users, and that's not great. And that's why we felt really committed to look for solutions to help bring real financial service providers, information providers, education providers, and reconnect them with their customers in a world and with a format that people actually love and enjoy. And I bet you're probably wondering right now, how can 3 bankers be the right people to make and create fun and enjoyable experiences? Okay, well, you know what I mentioned before, right? Matthias here has co-founded 2 digital banks in the past. With those banks, actually, what they did was taking a look at technology and the channels that people love and turn them into popular products, but also service models. A lot of those, to be honest, have inspired many of the fintechs that all of us not only love, but still use on a daily basis today. Myself, Uwe, and many other colleagues in our team working together with us have not only been designing fintech products, but building them and advising others on how to use them to create highly social and game-based customer engagement. And we've all been doing this for many, many years. So actually, the solution we came up with, right, to utilize fun, educational, and entertaining video games to create business value in the financial world has already won us the recognition and support from even those who are successful entrepreneurs from the game business.
Yep.
Right? And this is to show our kind of boring idea is not just impressive to say that we created some innovation for financial service, but there really is something, right? There really is value in connecting the people through video games. To name a few business angels and advisors that we have, actually, I will name one because the list goes on. But for example, Heiko Hubert, who is a very successful game entrepreneur here in Germany, is supporting us. And it is actually this aggregated experience from ourselves, from the people who support us as service provider ourselves. And don't forget, we're also consumers, right? Through all these experience, and now add on to that, we have the direct engagement working with the game industry that we learned that there is actually a B2B to C solution that we can create to address the pain points of all the stakeholders in our environment. Before we talk about the solution, I think it's really important that we understand a little bit more what kind of pain points are we talking about. So Matthias, why don't you shed some light with our audience on these pain points?
Absolutely happy to do so, but one private note before, my pain point is listening to all the decades of our experience. I really start feeling old about that. No,
Combine.
Exactly. I'm so glad. No, Tracy, you're absolutely right. Of course, we need to start the development of our business model, of our value proposition. The development needs to start at the pain points. We clearly need to identify what are the problems we actually want to tackle. Mm-hmm. So first of all, let me speak about the consumer, because that is, we are consumer centric, we are people centric. Now, there's hardly any school that is teaching on this planet, I would say, that is teaching finance as a fixed component to the content, to the curriculum, exactly of a school. I remember the discussions we have in Germany. It's frequently going on how to train students, pupils, actually definitely deeper and more for financial matters, financial affairs, and so on and so forth. So there's nothing, let me put it like this, provokingly. Now, we can say that means actually if you're not interested yourself, you will never learn about it. You need to have a strong, high engagement or high self-motivation, I would say, actually to deal with that very boring, very dry, very theoretical, very sometimes complicated topic of finance. Mm-hmm. Okay? So first of all. Now second, let me apply that thought actually to reality, and let me double check whether I would say have our DAB bank customers those days actually being fit and proper or educated to deal with the risk they are actually voluntarily entering into? And the answer is brutally easy. No, most certainly not. We've seen a lot of people really failing. We've seen a lot of people really losing their hard-earned net cash actually just by entering into this legal casino called brokerage.
The stock market.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the stock market. Now, as a next point, actually, it is that we can, as a concluding point, actually, we have to say that financial literacy definitely is an issue. It's a global issue. It's a true and existing issue. It's not only an issue that we would say it's some parts of the world. It's a really global issue in all parts of the world, no matter how industrialized another country is. That's the consumers. And just think about what this is creating, what a kind of economical damage actually, because people are losing money where they shouldn't. People are maybe investing money where they shouldn't. So financial literacy and financial education is a very, very relevant and important topic.
And it affects people of all ages.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not just talking about kids or school children.
Yeah. And all educational degrees, actually. It is not that a kind of master degree would guarantee that these people are fully educated in finance. Just take a doctor. That person might be, or hopefully is, absolutely well-trained and educated to heal people, but the account or, the financial behavior might be a mess, though, So it's really all in everybody, all over the place.
Me as well.
So it's a mess, okay? So first of all. Second, stakeholder group we should highlight on is financial institution, and let's call it banks, okay? Let's take banks for all of them. It's unfair, I know, but let's take banks. Now, banks are currently struggling, not only currently, for a decade, I would say, struggling with this high-speed development of digitalization. Digitalization, of course, on the one side in a technical way when it comes to back office infrastructure, blah, 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 but also, and more relevant on the other side, when it comes to the customer behavior and this fast-growing, fast-changing customer behavior driven by, on the one side, the smartphone and all kinds of web services, mobile services, and so on and so forth. Now, we can see that this customer behavior and fast-changing customer behavior is deteriorating the relation in between consumers and banks, for instance. We can see neo banks coming up. We can see neo brokers coming up. We can see lots of new services coming up. Not all and everything out of fintech really is meant to be successful, but it's changing the landscape massively, So, as said, this is creating a loss of contact between, this is widening, let me say it like this is widening the gap between actually the bank or the financial services institution on the one side and the consumers on the other side. In the same time, and this is just two major pain points out of a long list, actually. In the same time, I'm doing presentations on that. We can, in the same time, we can see that the regulator actually is increasing the power and scrutiny, maybe some might feel it like this, on the financial services by coming up with additional, like regulation when it comes to KYC and customer, take MiFID, take payments, take PSD2, they have to open up the data. Why should we? The others are not doing it themselves, so why should we? All this kinds of stuff is coming along, which is creating a massive full box of issues to the banking world today, and will maintain that way over the near and long future. So this is the problem statement there. How to deal with all this now on top, besides the long list of issues I already have today, okay? Third stakeholder group that is, I would say, relevant to Tradelite, the game developers. We see actually that the game developers are already pushing into the fintech space, believe it or not. Yeah. I heard somebody say the other day, quote, Matthias, to me, games are the new fintech.
Yeah.
So see, there is, and this is a consultant, really. So we can see that actually that borderline or demarcation line is not that clear anymore. It's becoming gray zone-ish already, and we see that the rifts are shifting, so to say. Yeah, so we see them pushing into fintech space. Actually, we see them creating games that are already integrating those components. Just take CryptoKitties as one example, or Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity in the Philippines, which is a skyrocketing game to the moon, let me say it like this, to the moon. And we see them creating behaviors that it's called play to earn, actually, because people can in those games, they can trade and they can create and trade NFTs or any kinds of tokenized assets, and are able to earn a game currency that they then convert into a real currency or a fiat currency and then spend for a living. And I find that to be super interesting. Yeah. So take as another example, Fortnite with hundreds of millions of players, and which is creating more and more of a real economy, actually, to me. You know, people socialize there, people go to concerts, you know, people meet there, which is more exciting than meeting on Zoom, for instance. I've heard companies meeting in games now, you know, instead of Zoom, because they have the Zoom fatigue, but so they show up to a meeting in their game character. How crazy sounds this?
And people buy fashion goods in these games as well. So again, real transactions are taking place in the game world.
And then we come to NFTs, we come to tokenized assets, we come to the integration of financial services. What is your favorite game, Tracy, with the bank?
My favorite game is Clash of Clans. However, my favorite bank-based game is Animal Crossing New Horizon. Because for those of you who don't know this game, Animal Crossing New Horizon, please do look it up. The entire gameplay is surrounding a central bank, and the head central banker is Mr. Coon or Raccoon. He's a raccoon. And the entire gameplay is based on learning about interest rate, how to manage your assets, how to pay off your mortgage, and then you grow crops like turnips and you trade those like commodities trading. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they caused a major article on the FT the other day, which is like 18 months ago, when they changed the lead interest rate in this central bank.
And the Financial Times have reported that the change in interest rate in Animal Crossing New Horizon is forcing the players to invest in riskier assets.
Can you imagine?
This was a real piece of news in Financial Times.
In Financial Times, in the Financial Times, we speak about that digital, artificial, parallel world only. And people are complaining that exactly they wrote their complaints to the central bank in the game and so on.
But it's creating a real world impact.
So the problem statement for the game developers is how to integrate all those financial topics that we just indicated now, how to integrate that interest rate, maybe even a compound annual interest rate. I wouldn't know a single game with a compound annual interest rate. Market data, you know, trading options, how to integrate that a professional, a sustainable, a trustful, you know, a good and scalable way actually into games. And I think these are the major three stakeholder groups I would love to highlight today. So again, the consumers with having a huge portion of illiteracy, the banks with being totally disconnected to the digital world, and the game developers that want to embrace actually the financial world but do not find a technical solution for that. So coming from the pain points, I think it is now the time to come to Tradelite's solutions.
All right, here we go. Drum roll, please.
Ta-da!
We are finally going to talk about what is Tradelite's solution and what are our products. But in order to explain that to you, I think I should first share what is the mission and vision of our company, right? So at Tradelite, our mission is to go beyond gamification. Don't just gamify a banking app. No, we don't do that. We really, truly want to bring financial engagement, live financial data, market from the information into a real fun world of video games. Why are we doing that? Because we can use the reach, the educational power, the popularity of video games to fulfill our vision, which is to make the financial world accessible and enjoyable for everyone. In order to do those, we have created a solution, a B2B2C solution, that is our financial entertainment game platform. So what is a financial entertainment game platform? Now we're going to get a little bit technical here, okay? Especially for the game developers and the techies out there. This platform contains roughly 15 services, in addition 6 game engines that can be provided to you to build and operate financial entertainment video games. Let me just quickly mention to you, what does the game engines do? What are you talking about here? So we have 6 game engines today, and this number is growing as we've just started about a year and a half ago. These game engines today support up to 10 plus game mechanics. The game mechanics could be, for example, jump and run, think Super Mario. The game mechanics can be other type of movements like flying, racing, shooting at things. Another kind of game mechanics, which is really popular at the moment, is called match. So you're like, wait, why is match useful? Actually, Candy Crush has the game mechanics of match 3. And that's also the mechanic used in memory games, for example, when you match things that are the same in order to get a correct response. Other game mechanics include quizzes, strategy, problem solving, as well as collecting and spending resources. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we have 6 engines and we make possible more than 10 game mechanics. With the backend services as well as the game mechanics, anyone can actually then take this platform and create an unlimited number of video games, right? If you go into your phone right now and you search for card games, you will see that there's hundreds and thousands, and all of them share the similar game mechanics of card drawing. Yeah. Does that make sense to you, Matthias?
Yeah,
have I lost you there?
No, absolutely. I'm kind of the least technical person here, so no, I got it. So let me maybe see that out of the perspective. Now, you spoke to the game developers, so to say, let me speak for the bankers and the financial services guys in our audience. Now, let me be the boring banker, which means Bob the boring banker. No, sorry. This means actually, this means I can create any kind of game actually on top of Tradelite solution.
Yeah,
platform.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe I should mention to you the different ways we offer services to banks, to any kind of B2C engagement providers, how they can use the platform, right? Because maybe you're thinking, but I'm not a game developer.
No, exactly.
Why is this relevant for me?
I would come to that point. But that means, so if I do not find a game today, maybe on your website or wherever you're gonna communicate to me as a financial services decision maker, I could create my own games then.
Yeah. So we at Tradelite, what I mentioned earlier, right? It's a B2B2C platform solution. And with this platform, we actually naturally created an ecosystem that is relevant for all our stakeholders. So let me start with talking about the first SaaS product that we have. This is called Tradelite Builder. With Tradelite Builder, anyone, right, a game studio, game developers, a bank with ideas and knowledge can access all the backend services I mentioned earlier with APIs, with SDKs, to actually build their own game and operate that game on our platform. This significantly lowers the cost and risk of designing and building everything from scratch yourself. And the magic here is that, you said, okay, if I'm a game developer, why don't I build my own game, right? It's because we have actually ingested financial market data, product information from different financial service providers, and we build that already into the game mechanics. So as a developer, you don't have to worry about how to deal with these information, right? You just focus on creating what is the specific branding, customized experience that you want to provide to your target audience. And this is what we meant by Tradelite Builder. Something very important for the banks here. Now imagine game developers are using our platform to create financial entertainment games. Don't worry, we will talk about what exactly these games could look like later. Once the game developer will create these games, we are actually offering them a new business model where they can actually distribute and offer these games to the banks who want to quickly utilize these banks to, these games to their end users, right? And that brings me actually to a second business model that we have. And this is a second SaaS product called Tradelite Game Suite White Label Solution. So under Tradelite Game Suite White Label, a bank can come to us and said, hey, I really want to offer financial entertainment games, but I have no idea, okay? I'm too busy. I have too much to do already. I don't know how to create a game, but I have these type of customers. I have these business goals. Can you help me? We will select out of the games that the game developers have already used Tradelite Builder to create that matches with the business goal of you, a bank. And you can simply pick those, right, from our portfolio and do your own branding and basic color logo adjustments and offer that to your end users at almost no technical effort, right? We have, the solution is available as a web version, also has mobile apps, but Tradelite will operate those for you, okay? And basically, you don't need to build a gaming department, but you can enjoy all the benefits of offering a game plugin, so to speak, to your end consumers. What are those benefits, right? Actually, you would attract customers from a very different demographic, maybe people you can't reach before, maybe people you're losing the connection to because they're all running to the online social media platforms. So you can use those for customer acquisition. You can use those to introduce a new product. You can feed your product information through our platform into the games. You can use that also to educate your customer, understand their financial skills level, their financial literacy level. And guess what? You can do all of that by simply integrating the front end of the products. And you can also learn information about your customers' gameplay behavior and their financial literacy levels, as I mentioned earlier, right? So does that make sense to you, Matthias?
Yeah, no, this is what I absolutely understand. This means actually there's a kind of marketplace, so to say. I can have a selection of games.
Yes.
I tell you, Tradelite, actually, what are my business goals and objectives are, like customer acquisition, customer retention, increase of customer lifetime value. And you will kind of share your expertise with me, and I select the games, and we gonna offer that for play. This is it. And in particular, I like what you said is no game department in my bank, because I would not know how to justify that to the regulator that I suddenly have a game department in my bank.
Yeah. And speaking, maybe for those of you audience here, speaking a little bit with banking terms, think about the FE game platform like it is a, let's say, bank software middleware, and then the games are the front end user experience solutions.
Yeah,
right?
now I understand. Now we're talking.
And you can take the full stack of solution, right?
Yeah.
And you can easily distribute that to your end customers and get feedback. It's like a third-party plug-in product. Yeah, you don't have to change your core business.
What you're selling me now is games as a service, because I just learned it the hard way was banking as a service is now this is games as a service.
Absolutely.
This is it? No, why didn't you say?
I'm too cool to use that word now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
I'm sorry for I'm the banker here, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that is one of the products we have. One of the questions that actually now come up when we speak to potential customers and people in our environment is, okay, it's nice to offer games for engagement, for education, maybe for marketing reasons. But how if I want to have a deeper embedding, right, of games with my actual business proposition, right? For example, if I am a bank who has the idea to actually issue trading products or saving products or any kind of financial products and make a real connection using games, right, with my end consumer, how can I do that? So this is our third product offering. This is called Tradelite Game Suite Turnkey Solution. With this subscription, you will be able to access the enterprise APIs that we have created. What are these enterprise APIs? Basically, it allows you to integrate the user profile from your existing platform with the gamer's account, right? So that you know who is playing the game, but what is this person also doing in a different product environment within your organization? What can you use this for? One of the examples that we have been, let's say, experimenting with a potential customer is to integrate an in-game wallet of a player. So in the game, we generate like game playing coins, to integrate that wallet with the loyalty points wallet from someone's credit card usage, right? So when you have that integration, think about how exciting it is for your consumer, right? The more they use your credit card service, the more loyalty points, aka in-game playing money they have to play and invest and have fun within the game using those coins. And the more they play, by the way, they're consuming financial knowledge and product information. The more they play, the more game coins that is also then being added to their loyalty wallet, right? So it creates a very seamless user experience. It's a deeper embedding of the two services. On top of that, we also have the possibility to integrate transactions and payments. All of this is to create the possibility to embed real-world financial products into the games.
Okay, that is now exactly, now again, let me be the banker, as I am. So that really means what Tradelite solution then is offering is the integration. Did I get that correctly? It's the integration of real world financial services into games instead of gamifying a maybe boring bank experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit more, like we'll give you some examples of the actual game and what does a financial product in-game look like. Right.
And then I would have another on top question to this, which is, in particular, I'm intrigued by the idea of using those kind of loyalty points, because that now sounds to me as if we would be actually really erasing the demarcation in between the game world and the real financial world, because again, I have to reiterate that I can use I can use my loyalty points, which I maybe got from a bank or my bank for using their transactional services, card services, whatsoever, you know, if that bank is offering something like that. I can use that in a game, maybe get additional points for that, for being successful in a game, maybe even convert that into tokenized assets or whatever kind of a different asset, and really merge the two worlds of video games and finance. I find that no surprise. I find that to
very
be
exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, to sum that up now, all three of our products are easy to use with a lot of out-of-the-box features, either from the backend or from the games themselves. It will save you a lot of time and cost and risks in terms of creating games, because you don't have to do everything from scratch by yourself. And because we have a platform solution, it's very scalable with one-time onboarding, one-time integration. You can create one or an unlimited number of games on top without additional effort. Last but not least, and this is, I would say, one of our secret sauce, is that we make sure the platform helps you configure the games with different business and monetization models. What does that mean, monetization model in the game? That means a game can be free to play for educational or marketing purposes. A game can be freemium, which is free to play with in-game purchase or subscription options. We can also organize tournaments in the games, right? And when you organize tournaments, they can be free or they can be skill-based paid tournaments, which will bring in a new revenue stream. And last but not least, we make it possible for you to integrate financial products into the games. Okay, so after hearing so much about the products, what they are, what they do, I think it's time we dive a little bit deeper into who exactly can use those products and what are the use cases, what kind of KPIs is that driving for our customers. Matthias, why don't I hand over to you to share that?
No,
why
happy.
Not?
No, why not? So, no, absolutely. No, it of course makes a lot of sense to speak about whom we defined or whom we kind of figured out to be our main audience. Now, actually, we've been speaking about financial services and this whole industry, and of course, the stakeholders of that industry we can see to be the major, I would say, audience to our B2B services. So this is banks, this is brokers, this is any kind of fintech, by the way. This could be cryptocurrency companies, but not to forget, this shall be and could be also insurances, because in particular, I would say insurances are lacking the day-to-day interaction with their customer base, you know, so maybe a game could solve that. Second is the whole media industry in particular, because in the media industry we are really always discussing how to increase the average revenue per user. So all and everything is absolutely welcomed there. That helps and supports that objective. And in particular, out of the media industry, I would take those medias that are dealing with finance and financial markets, so that I have a high affinity user or reader base actually dealing around the topic.
Who are interested already
Absolutely.
in the topic.
Absolutely, who already understood it. Yeah.
Seeking for more interactive content.
Absolutely. And maybe applying the content they just read or learned from those media, you know, so that you learn and read something about the markets, and then you have a game next to it, and you have an easy application, first application or trial application of your newly gained knowledge in such a game. Third, I would identify the game industry itself, of course, you know, not to forget, because in the game industry we have two stakeholders we would identify. On the one side, you spoke about already, the game developers that are maybe seeking new options, new ideas to even make games more exciting, or even to tap into a field they couldn't tap so far because there was no technical solution ready for that. And of course the game publishers, I would not forget, because game publishers are, out of my understanding, are interested in any kind of genre or kind of game that comes along and maybe is attracting new players and maybe keeping existing players more sticky by more variations and so on and so forth. So I would see them as well. Fourth, I would see all the industry, which I learned actually is massively increasing, as well as the whole educational industry. Or call it ed tech, so to say. And there we have two components, whether it might be really consumer focused on the one side, delivering education to consumers out there, or a B2B approach actually, that you are maybe an ed tech or education provider for your team, for the teams of companies, so to say, in order to upskill, reskill people.
The employees.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And let us not forget, by the way, you know, we could now pull statistics and say that talking in general, we are up to 3 billion gamers globally. In Germany, I would say we are roughly close to 50% of the population using games.
I think it's more than half now, actually.
Is it?
More than half of the population of Germany are gamers.
In particular female. In particular female. So this is some very, very interesting statistics. Now, speaking about training your team and your staff, actually, you shouldn't forget maybe 50% of your staff are gamers as well.
Exactly.
You know?
And one thing to add on that, when people think games, they maybe think that it's only for young people or little kids. But the statistics that we were just talking about, that more than half of Germans, for example, are gamers. Guess what is the average age for gamers in Germany?
I know it.
So he doesn't need to guess, he knows it. So you guys are probably guessing, but it's over 37 years old. Yeah, it's actually over 37 years old. So it is not presumptuous to say that perhaps half of your employees or half of your customers are actually gamers.
No, absolutely. And it's particularly important for bankers to understand that, because I think bank decision makers always think that the game industry is the niche. Let me tell you, financial services guys, you are the niche in comparison to the games, right? So, well, those would be the four major groups actually. I would, and anybody else who thinks actually that a financial entertainment game is pretty close to the behavior of the customers you have today already, well, you know,
be our guest.
Be our guest, you know, actually, absolutely. First of all, you know, again, today is our grand opening. So actually, officially, we didn't speak too much about Tradelite solution in the market. Nevertheless, in January, I think it was January actually, when we got approached from our US friends down
at the start of this year,
in Los Angeles, and who I'm very proud of that they are the first customers. It's a fintech, or it's a startup company.
It's a startup,
Is it a fintech? No, maybe not. It's a startup company.
The line is blurring.
Yeah,
between gaming and fintech.
Absolutely. So it's an LA-based startup who approached us actually with out of our perspective, very crazy idea, and saying, listen, can I use your platform that you're just creating actually to create fantasy league games with having FX trading and FX pairing actually in the center of it, right? So this is what you can use it for. This means you can use our platform to create totally new business models, totally new revenue streams, customer behavior, and bring it into a next dimension, I would really say. I can remember another discussion we had the other day saying, okay, can I create virtual reality games? Like virtual reality stock trading and stuff like that, which I would say makes it in particular interesting once you maybe have staff training or you have a maybe high-end complexity consumer game in that sector. We have a customer that is a media house and is integrating financial entertainment games actually to increase the average revenue per user. As I just said a minute ago, it's on the one side delivering the content to the readers, but in the same time now saying, listen, you can apply that content a fun way, an exciting way, without any risk in those games now. Okay. We are talking to fintech companies, for instance, one that is aiming at teenagers in order to deliver a service in which parents and teenagers can have a mutual look to the spending behavior and educate the teenagers actually that, you know, you need to earn money first before you can spend it and all that stuff. That to the teenager is maybe an unrequested and sad message, but in the same time now use video games to train them or to educate them on some stuff on the financial, on some topics on the financial industry, financial knowledge, entertain them, to keep them engaged.
Maybe games about saving, interest rate, compounding interest, as we talked about earlier.
Or even first investing, getting them acquainted with maybe capital the markets.
That's what they love these days. Actually, we just read some articles that young people, especially teenagers today, are absolutely interested in trading because they feel like trading in the stock market and the movements of crypto feels like a game.
But then it shouldn't be something like a stock trading simulation game which takes you 6 months. This is not what we do anymore, I have to say, sadly, right? Or maybe just in specific segments and niches, yes, you can do this, but in order to reach out to millions of people, you need to be very short, you need to be as casual as possible, as easy as possible, not to lose the attention, and don't have in mind the attention span is decreasing, you know? So that's what it is about. So what is the business purpose of this fintech using FE games? Actually, it's acquiring new customers, driving cost of customer acquisition down, and keeping customer engagement high. That's exactly what it is about. We are speaking to some international banks with exactly the same objective. So the one bank is in Southeast Asia, another bank in the Middle East, creating services that are absolutely dedicated to Gen Z and younger in order to, again, same objective, customer acquisition, customer education, customer engagement, keep that up or increase that. We're speaking to financial education providers actually, and in particular there are some who are already having a huge user base today and maybe want to spice up the existing content there, because I think it's always getting a little bit critical with customer engagement as soon as you become too educative, you know? We would never recommend you, by the way, to call a game educational, because if you want to be sure that nobody's playing it, call it educational. But if the content is getting too much classroom-like, you know what I mean? Like too much of yeah, exactly.
With maybe AI instructor talking to you
Yeah.
with a little whiteboard, which is plugged in text with some cute icons.
Exactly.
Also, that's not what we do, right?
No.
Because remember, our mission is do not gamify.
Exactly. So yes, of course, you should stick there, but spice it up, I would say. Spice it up with nice video games aside, actually, to keep interaction high. We speak to cryptocurrency companies or crypto companies in a wider sense, actually, for customer acquisition. We speak to brokers, actually, because, you know, it's not that all your customers at a broker are hyperactive, I would say, out of my experience at DAB Bank, actually, and I think it didn't change too much. Maybe if you have 20% of really active customers, you're already good. If you have 50% of your customers that trades frequently, you're very good, but there is a certain degree of dormant accounts. I really would say like that. Now, in order to wake up those dormant accounts, why not using video games? Because, you know, you can introduce those games to your customer base. You can walk up to them and say, listen, we understand you're inactive for whatever reason now, but why don't you play in the meantime in order to maybe increase your skills or keep your skills high? You know, so that might be another nice use case. And I think there is, you know, one very critical point still open, Tracy.
Yeah.
What are the games? You know, we spoke so much about the FE games, but what are the games? What are they looking like? What do I have to imagine? What is it?
Yeah, we must come to that point now so that we don't push up the customer frustration KPIs
CFR,
in
the
this
CFR,
call.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, we are going to give you some examples of what are financial entertainment games. So I will share, actually right on top of my mind, I have 2 examples. So I think I'll share both of them because they're quite different. But before I share, I just want to mention again, right? Tradelite provides an FE game platform, which is, you know, the banking middleware, the backend service to building games, right? So these 2 examples are 2 out of the, let's say, unlimited amount of games you can build on this platform. These 2 examples are actually co-created by us and professional game developers who are already using our platform to build games. You might think that, you know, how can us, you and Matthias, build games? Well, come on, like our track record did not come from a lack of creativity and innovative use cases, right?
That's
so
right.
I must admit, we turns out not to be too bad at this. But let me go into the 2 examples, okay? And then you can hopefully get a much better idea by everything we've been talking about so far, okay? Now, the first one, right? Remember we were talking about game mechanics earlier and we kept talking about cards. So in fact, on our platform, we do have a cards engine, yeah? And what does this engine do? It actually turns financial instruments into a deck of playing cards. All right, so we all know a deck of playing cards. Typically, it's 52 cards, yeah? And you see suites and numbers on each of the cards. Now, let me take an example. Imagine we take the 40 component companies from the DAX index, and we turn that into a deck of playing cards of 40 cards, all right? And now, think about you sitting around a virtual video game table with either your friends or other players, right? And you're each being dealt 5 cards. Okay, so I'm the dealer here, okay? And I have actually 4 decks, okay? I have 4 decks of cards, 4 decks of DAX 40 cards. And I deal each one of you a card. In total, you each get 5, all right? Now you have 5 cards in your hand, you open that up, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that's different. Instead of seeing your normal suite and numbers on each card, you actually see the logos and pricing information and performance information of a listed company. So you think, what did I do with this? What kind of game am I playing now, right? So on this card game, your goal is to maximize the performance of your mini 5-card portfolio, as well as making a poker pattern, for example, a pair, 3 of a kind, full house, or a straight, okay? So now you have these 2 goals, and how can you do that to maximize yourself and meet those 2 goals to win this game, we give you the opportunity to swap up to 3 cards. All right. So in order to make that decision, what are you doing? You're clicking on the card and you get taken to more detailed information, let's say news, let's say, recent development about that company itself, so that you can make a decision. Is this company going up or down in the next couple of minutes? This is the same kind of information consumption, analysis, and decision making you would need to do if you're in a real trading situation, right? And then you come back to the card game and you decide, okay, I want to swap only 2 cards. Yeah, you give it back to the dealer. I dealt you 2 more cards, and then we find out how well you did, right? And this game combines not only real world and life, by the way, financial data, information. It automatically triggers you as the player, motivates you to keep yourself informed and updated about what's going on. And you have to read the content, you have to interpret the information, but it is not a chore because you want to do this to win this round of card game, right? And it's happened in a short, consumable iteration. So you could be like waiting for the bus and you can play 1 round and put it away. And guess what? Instead of playing Candy Crush, you played a financial poker and you gained some financial information and you actually trained yourself skills that are applicable in the real world.
That could be, so that would be stock poker.
Exactly. So it's a financial poker, it's stock poker, it can be crypto poker, it can be any kind of underlying asset.
ETF poker.
Yeah. And exactly on that point, I was going to ask you, Matthias, now with your banker's head, can you imagine if we use that game only as education, we had all the impact I just talked about, but what would it be if we use that game as an actual financial transaction?
Oh yeah, I obviously can imagine. Exactly. It could be, because what you're actually creating, those 5 cards, is, out of my perspective, it's a mini portfolio, which after swapping 3 cards and getting 3 new, which is even maybe created with my influence.
Yes.
And maybe we don't do this for 5 minutes or 2 minutes only, but we would do this maybe with a duration of 24 hours. And I have my mini portfolio at my hand, which is a derivative at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And could be a nice new financial instrument. Yeah. So for the banks, for the ones who have the license to offer something like that, such a kind of micro derivative, or we call it a Tradelite casual micro derivative, CMD, it's absolutely feasible to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that makes asset allocation. This is asset allocation the fun and game way, right?
Yeah,
wonderful.
Exactly. So the second game that I want to share as an example. So this one is a bit crazy, and for all of those of you out there, again, think how many people play Candy Crush, right? By the way, I just looked up the statistics not so long ago. On a monthly basis, Candy Crush has 250 to 300 million players per month, right?
Including German politicians, I've heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's the point, right? Games that are really simple, really repetitive, actually is a really nice way to enjoy, to engage players, right? You don't have to go crazy complex and make something really smart. So this is the inspiration to this crazy game I'm gonna share with you. So do you all know mini golf? Maybe you play golf, right? You know what is golf. Maybe you don't play golf, but you know what is golf. All right, so I have to stand up for this one, right? So in this game, as the player, okay, you are playing golf, yeah? And this is a crazy golf where the player is standing on earth and your goal is to hit this golf ball to the moon. For any of you out there who does not know what to the moon means, come on, please go look it up. Yeah, check out Wall Street Bet on Reddit after this event, okay? So your goal is to hit the golf ball to the moon. We all know moons have a lot of craters, yeah? So your golf ball could fall into each one of these craters and earn you different points. And now you're probably scratching your head, okay, how is that related to financial stuff? Yeah, how is this related to financial stuff, like by hitting the golf ball to the moon? Now, we have created the first version of this game in this way, that each golf ball is a cryptocurrency, okay? And again, now think back. You're in this visual world, yeah, this virtual world. You're standing on earth and you're about to hit this golf ball. Let's say it's a Bitcoin ball. And the moment you pick that golf ball, you suddenly see in front of you the price development in a chart of Bitcoin. Okay, so you see in front of you the price movement of Bitcoin. Why does that matter? Because guess what? Whenever you want to trade a cryptocurrency, first you need to go look at how the prices have developed.
You should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You should go look at in the last days, has it been like really, really high, the highest it's been in months? Maybe it's not the right time to enter, right? Or has it actually dropped really low due to some crazy announcement by Elon Musk? So maybe this is the right time to enter because who knows, he might change his mind next week.
Yeah, next tweet is coming.
Yeah. So you see the price movement, and then you also learn about volatility, right? There are actually cryptocurrencies that does not have as much volatility as others, right? And then you have to read the chart to interpret the information. And what happens now after I pick the crypto Bitcoin golf ball and I see the price chart, I'm gonna try to hit this ball to the moon, and by the way I hit, and this is something that I have to then practice in the game to do well over and over again. If I hit it well, then it will fly over the price chart, lands in the moon, or if accidentally I don't hit it so well, it's gonna hit the price chart, bounce it off, and God knows where it's going, okay? So my goal is to have this repetitive action, which again promotes me to read about information, promotes me to get an understanding of what is pricing, what are volatility, what is performance, what are movements. And then on top, okay, we created a tournament in this game, which if you think back to the use cases we talked about, we kept saying that games help you increase touch points with your customer. Tournament is the perfect example because with our platform, you can configure the tournament to go on for let's say 4 hours the tournament, or up to a week or even a month. All right. So as the player, I have this constant movement of hitting my golf ball, and then I see that, hey, I can participate in a tournament. I am then taking the knowledge that I gain from this constant playing into the tournament, and now the tournament tells me, hey, your goal is to select the specific golf ball that you want, to be able to hit as far as possible in this tournament. And the distance and the power of this ball is being driven by the performance of this crypto during this tournament, right?
Okay. Wow.
So you have to make a prediction on the price development. And if you think about it, this is what all of us is doing when we buy cryptocurrency or we invest in any financial instrument, is we are making a prediction because we're predicting for the price to go up, right? You don't buy a stock predicting that the price will go down. That's why I want to buy it now.
The maturity.
Yeah.
Or a professional short seller.
Exactly. But your intention, right, is to predict that, if you're just buying the underlying asset itself, you're predicting for the price to go up. So you enter the tournament, select the crypto, and this is the cool thing about it, right? As the player, you don't need to sit there for 10 hours to wait for the result. You can spend another 50 seconds, go back to hitting a few golf balls, get back to work, get back to school, get back to whatever you're doing. But we have created a touch point for the bank or the broker to get in touch with you at the end of that tournament to let you know how you've done, right?
And maybe win a prize or...
Exactly. So you would see yourself ranked on, let's say, a leaderboard. You see how well you've done compared to the others. If you've not done so well, probably you should go back to hitting more golf balls and practice more on how to interpret those information. But if you've done well, this is another opportunity that your service provider can maybe give you a reward, right? They can maybe say, hey, actually, you're really good at this. Right now, you are only using our stock trading functions. You're not using the crypto one. If you would like to go into crypto, maybe we give you like a 20 euro voucher, or we send you a book on some information or subscription to knowledge about this asset.
So that means, Tracy, if I kind of make an abstract out of that, so that means that because I think, first of all, the explanation of the game takes longer now than the game itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is very important to understand that we are in the genre of casual games, actually.
To
right?
start, yes.
To start, exactly. So that means it's always, like, I like the quote you gave us is, actually the game break is the new smoking break, so to say.
That's for me at least true.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So that means in the bus, in the wherever, whenever I want to have a break, and so on. I'm not saying in the video conference, but and so on. Whenever I want to have a break, I have a game. I could, you know.
Yeah.
First of all, second, what we do is we take fun environments actually and embed financial data or product, whatever we want actually. This is actually what happens, right? So it's the fun environment of a poker setup, for instance, now being fueled and being more exciting maybe by financial data.
Yeah.
And the golf and so on.
Yeah, great. Now, so remember, we said that those two game examples are just two of the unlimited amount of games that could be built on top of our platform, right? So, of course, we're hoping that one day there are hundreds and thousands of games actually running on Tradelite FE Games platform. And now just imagine those games are being played by millions of players. What is then a really important thing, the real goal, let's say, coming out of this scale and this level of customer engagement? It is the data, right? And therefore, we have a saying at Tradelite.
Yeah.
So I'll do the honors, okay? Yeah, please, I love saying this. So our saying at Tradelite is the name, but data is our game.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Pat myself on the shoulder for that. Yeah. So with actually all the 3 SaaS product subscription that we talked about earlier, we provide a super important, let's say, feature or product also to the users from the business environment, which is a data dashboard, where you can see statistics, data, trends, and information from the games and from the players to, again, really give you the points what these are, right? These could include gameplay data. So for example, when and what did the customer do within this game, which event they chose to play, right? If you have events, if you have content that is the US market and they chose that always instead of choosing the crypto, then you know something about these customers, right? And this means actually you know not just about how they play, but you know about their financial preference. When they play, remember we talked about getting better and the skills and the levels. So with those information, you can understand their financial skills, their financial literacy. You can also tell by their choices and the way they play, what is their risk appetite. And furthermore, with the games, you can even learn about what is the social preference of a player. Do they like to play single games, or do they like to play games where they can actually engage with other players, like peer versus peer competitions? Or do they like to team up, right? This gives you a lot of insights, not just about their bank account and spending behavior, but also who they are, right? And game also actually can tell you what are the motivation of the different people. For example, is someone's motivation just to repeat an action and learn information and get better? Or is their motivation more geared towards competition, to join the tournament and be at the top of the leaderboard? Or actually, is there a motivation about joining a team and share tips and help each other, right? Again, these are the kind of data that we'll make available to you through our data dashboard, and we will support you to turn these data into valuable insights. And now just imagine the, let's say, future amount of use cases you can build on top of those insights.
Absolutely, but I think it's also necessary to say all this is following the data protection rules, and
yes,
so that we do not get a kind of negative spin on that.
So before we go today, that was a lot of information. I hope you managed to consume some of that. The session will absolutely be recorded, so you can actually visit our LinkedIn profile or visit our website at www.tradelite.de to find the video and go through whichever part that you have missed out and you want to re-listen to. However,
we're going to slice it a bit and
we'll make it bite-sized and casual and easy to consume like our games. Absolutely.
yeah.
And also you can, please get in touch with us, right? Get in touch with us. We're all active via LinkedIn. We're all active on our website when you write us via our contact form.
Any channel.
Yeah, please get in touch with us if you have questions. And if you still have time today, we are going to open up to some questions, right? So
absolutely.
We've got our machine ready here. Whoever wants to pop their questions into the chat, we can open it up.
Feel free.
Yeah, grill us.
Shoot.